If you believe in personal responsibility, if you believe America is still the greatest nation on earth, then get ready for an experience you'll never forget. This is Upfront and Outspoken. Here's your host, Bob Williams.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
What can I say? This is Friday, folks. Welcome back to the program. This is Upfront Outspoken. Of course, I am your host, Bob Williams. Let's take care of some real quick business because my guest is on the phone and I definitely want to get to him. So we're going to cut all this other crap out of the way. No, none of that. All we're going to do is give you the weather. The weather for today: sunny, high near 84 degrees tonight, mostly clear, low around 59. For Saturday, sunny, high near 85, and for Sunday, wow, sunny, high near 85 degrees. So let's look at your weather for today. All right, now, give me the paperwork back here, guys. I need one piece. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. This is Friday. What can I say? Things are going to go bonkers. On the phone with me right now, my guest every Friday at this time is none other than the author of Passionate Justice, Passionate Justice, a progressive memoir and essay. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Jonathan Wolfman. Hello, Jonathan. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, good morning, Bob. Happy weekend to everybody out there.
Wow. I don't know what it is, but today my tongue in my mouth, I swear to God, it's rented. It doesn't want to work. What can I tell you? Last week, Jonathan, we had a very good discussion going, and we were talking about the correlation of history and what is occurring right now with ISIS and advisors and all that. And I brought up the comment that what we're seeing is President Obama is sending advisors, very much like what President Eisenhower and President Kennedy did in the 1950s and into 1961, and how that incident, I'm referring to the latter, not with President Obama, but the latter, ended up being the Vietnam conflict. I can't call it a war because it was never declared, but it was a conflict. And I want once again get your view. Do you see a correlation between the two?
I do. There's no question in my mind that the correlation that you see is real. The thing that I hope and that I believe you hope is that this time we're really going after something that's worthwhile to go after and to spend some treasure on, and I think it is. I think that we bullied ourselves, 40, 50 years ago into being so afraid of worldwide communism who had not attacked our shores. And yet this time, I do think that here we're dealing with known quantities, known kinds of organizations, and an ideology that 13 years ago did attack us, did kill our people, and have sworn that that's why they exist. And, we were talking last week about half measures versus going all in, and my son's in his 20s, and he studies military history a lot, and he and I agree on this, and I bet you will too, that either you let it go or you go all in. And that's why people are saying this isn't going to take a week, it's not going to take a month or 3 months, it's going to take well longer. But I do really think that we have an opportunity, if we do it right, to end this kind of violence against the modern world. And that's what this is. This is the centuries, and we just can't let that
I agree. Excuse me. I agree with much of what you said there. The question I have is we all know that ISIS has made these threats that they're going to come after the United States. We've gone after a very, very high target where they had already gone into the so to speak the ending phase of an attack here on the United States. And but my question has always been, and even though we as a nation have tried to seal off funding coming from here in the United States or people going over there, for this radicalization, as they call it, to fight with ISIS. And my question has always been is, what are we going to do with these guys that, they're American citizens, they have an American passport, they're able to come back home, what are we going to do? I have my personal idea, but I want to hear your thought. Yeah, like I said, my tongue's not working. Get your thoughts about it.
Tracking them, we have to do our damnedest to track these guys as best we can. And I don't know what the law says regarding what would amount to what you're talking about, really.
Well, my question is, why can't we just throw them in Guantanamo?
That's right. What you're talking about is a concept called preventive detention. And we have, under some circumstances, Americans have used that before. I know something similar, although it wasn't called that, was used by the federal government against rebels during the Civil War.
Right. Well, we also did it during World War. We also did it during World War II against with the Japanese American people.
Right. Although the Japanese Americans were condemned simply because of their ethnicity and race. What I'm talking about is people who have no apparent reason to want to go back and forth to these countries, and for whom the FBI has real, what do I want to say, has real evidence that these people have been commingling with these terrorists. The question then becomes, once you get them back on our soil, do you have the legal right to detain them? And my guess is that we do.
Mm-hmm. The thing is that, like I said, is, why can't we just take these people that we know are going to be coming back, instead of doing quote-unquote surveillance on them, why don't we just grab them off of the plane, shove them onto another plane, and send them to Guantanamo? To me, that would be the easiest solution.
Legal basis for doing that as well.
Well, wouldn't they have given up their legal rights the second that they decided that they're going to go fight for ISIS, a known terroristic group who has it in for us and in for other Western nations who, like the UK, now France, and now you're talking the UAE, you're talking Saudi Arabia. Why can't all these countries get together that are now part of this coalition? Yeah, okay. We have citizens there that are fighting for this organization. Why don't we just snatch them off the plane when they try to come back in, or when they try to come back on our borders, and say, look, we know you were fighting. We know you were shooting. You were doing this, and it was your intent to do this harm. We're going to throw you in Guantanamo. We're going to try you. Why can't we just do that instead of let these guys come back here to the United States, live a life, and potentially be what many refer to as a lone wolf cell? Why can't we just throw them in prison?
I agree with you, and I don't know that we have evidence that we have guys who we just let come back and say, gosh, in effect, welcome back, here's your, here's the welcome home present, and then we'll see you whenever we see you. I don't think that's what's happening. I think they, in fact, are tracking these guys pretty damned well, and if they come back, I do think that there is some legal basis for detaining them without having to say, yes, and I killed such and such. I think if we have some evidence that they've we have the legal right to do exactly what you're saying.
You know, earlier this week in New York, in fact, I believe it was New York State. I'm not going to say that I'm 100% certain there, but an individual was detained or is currently in custody that was supplying money, was supplying potential soldiers for this organization. And the FBI did close in on him. Last I heard, he is in custody. You know, evidently, you know, if it took that long to find this guy, and we know there are people that are supporting this terrorist group here in the United States, why? You know, what's happened to our in-house security? I mean, Homeland Security is supposed to be staying on top of this. You know, if we get a whimper that a guy is supplying ISIS with funds, is supplying ISIS with any kind of propaganda that they can use against us, why can't we just go in and say, all right, we've had your shit long enough, you are coming with us, you're going to Guantanamo, suck it up, you know, you deserve it, you're going to go on trial, and at that, you know, I just don't understand why we just don't do the same thing with those individuals that we know are going to be coming back. And the second we know that they touch American soil, in other words, the minute that plane touches down, have the agents there. All right, you're coming with us.
I agree with you, and I think that that's part of the plan. I can't imagine why, if we're doing everything else we know that we're doing, why we wouldn't be doing that. I would be very surprised if that's not part of the current logic that they're using.
I hope so. Well, I have one more question for you, because our time is, you know, every week our time runs out. If we capture, and I want to get your opinion about this, and everybody, you know what they say about opinions, but I want to get your opinion about this. If we capture the leadership for ISIS, what would you recommend happen?
Same thing that happened to Mr. Bin Laden.
You'd want him dead.
These are enemy combatants.
Right.
These are not people who robbed your local mom and pop and we put them on trial. These.
Well, you do know, Jonathan, that if we do catch them and they come back here in the United States, they're going to be going in front of a jury of their peers per se.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to come back here. I think that it was naive at best of anybody to think that we were actually ever planning to capture Osama bin Laden and to bring him back. I think that if you talk to people in the military, there was never an idea to do anything but shoot him.
But what if? But I'm saying hypothetically, what if we do capture, you know, the leadership? You know, and I'm using that hypothetically because knowing how radicalized these individuals are and how much of they are, they'll probably either kill themselves or something. But I'm just saying hypothetically, if we capture the leadership of ISIS, you know, and you know the U.S. captures them, they gotta fly them out of there. And if they're brought back here to the United States, they're going to face a trial by jury. Okay. Now, do they deserve this?
Oh no! I mean, I think not, and I would be very, very surprised if the operating orders were to capture. See, what you're saying assumes that the operating orders for our SEALs or Army Rangers who would be doing this, it wouldn't be regular Army doing this. It wouldn't be the FBI doing it. It would be these special forces. I don't have any doubt in my mind that their standing orders are not to snatch them up and bring them back. Their standing orders are, if you think and you have a damned good idea that Mr. X, who you have in your sights, is one of the top leadership, one of the 2 or 3 levels of leadership in ISIS, you are to take him out
You're being nice. A bullet to the head. You know what I want? I want these guys caught. And then I want to put them on public display in front of every one of their troops, per se, and have the same thing done to them that they did to Tom Foley, Steven Sotloff, David Haynes, the Frenchman who was just recently beheaded. Right. I want them to do the same thing because...
For God's sake, a tourist. And yesterday, it turns out that they got a female aid worker and a journalist. They tortured her and then stoned her in public, and they ordered her stoned slowly so that she would suffer.
This is what I want. I want these guys caught, but I don't want them to come here in the United States to face trial. I want them beheaded publicly in front of their own troops, and then watch these guys become the biggest ball babies in the world, to show them that, hey, your leadership is a bunch of frickin' cowards. That's what I want to see.
That would be delightful, although I have, on one level it would be delightful. On the other hand, I cannot imagine. See, in the heat of combat, I think what happens is that they can't have stand. I would be surprised. Let me put it this way. I'm not a military guy, but I would be surprised if they could get standing orders like that, because once you've got one of these bastards in their sights, I can't imagine that they don't have the orders to shoot to kill.
I agree.
You see my point? Would that be satisfying? What you're saying would be satisfying in so many ways. No one's denying that. That would satisfy a great deal of our sense of the need for okay, you did that. Well, this is how it feels, Buster.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, we all feel that. But in terms of military operations, I can't imagine that they don't have shoot-to-kill orders.
Yeah, but it just, I guess I want it to be realistic. I want it to happen. I want these guys to get caught, and I want them to be beheaded. Is it a bloodlust? No. Is it being vengeful? Well, kind of, because number one, you don't take a journalist and cut their heads off because they're doing their job. I'm sorry, but these guys, in my opinion, in my humble, meek, mild opinion, and if you believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. I believe they ought to be treated no less than what they did to Foley, what they did to Sotloff, what they did to Haynes, what they've done to the Frenchman. I myself want these guys beheaded in front of their troops, just so the troops can see, boy, did we screw up when we decided to follow these guys, because listen to them cry now. Listen to their big ball baby remarks. That's what I want.
That would be wonderful. I don't think anybody who has lived for these last 2 months in this world who has any sense of decency, we all have to admit that what your wish is part of us too.
Exactly.
Any of us to say, we're operationally, I think that they're being told, you get these guys in your sights, you pull that trigger.
Exactly. Once again, Jonathan, our time has gone by so fast. It's always a pleasure having you on. Jonathan's our Friday definite. He's always going to be here every Friday, 7 o'clock. Once again, I want everybody to check out his book, Passionate Justice, a progressive memoir and essay. You can check it out on our website. Just go to kkrplaser1610.com. That's Lazer 1610.com. See the Amazon. Punch it in. Passionate Justice, a progressive memoir and essay. Jonathan also has a show called Passionate Justice, heard here every Saturday at 2 p.m. Once again, Jonathan, hey, glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Bob, and everybody out there, have a wonderful, beautiful weekend.
You too, Jonathan. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
And with that, it is time for me to get on out of here. I hope you all have a super fine weekend. Until Monday morning, 6 a.m., this is Bob Williams. Take care of yourselves.